Almost 4 years after Colombia's peace talks began, negotiators in Havana have achieved an agreement for the implementation of a bilateral and definitive ceasefire. The news followed a unilateral ceasefire implemented by the FARC roughly a year ago, which has de-escalated violence to levels never seen during more than 50 years of armed conflict.
The average deaths per day when the peace process began compared to the average deaths per day during 50 years of conflict have led us to believe that roughly 1,500 lives have been saved during the 3.5 years of peace talks.
The details of the deal will be announced in an event led by Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos, the FARC's head Timo León Jiménez, and Cuban President Raúl Castro. Chile's Michelle Bachelet and Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro, as well as UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, will also be present when the parties disclose the agreement on the bilateral ceasefire, as well as on the laying down of weapons and safety guarantees for the FARC.
That involves the areas where the FARC would be located, as well as the political, economic and civilian reintegration of the FARC members according to their own interests, but also as a strategic point to dismantle the organizations that can be considered inheritors of the paramilitary phenomenon, with safety guarantees not just for the FARC, but the social movement as a whole.
The issue of paramilitarism has been a heightened concern for social and human rights organizations that have suffered the violence from paramilitary groups operating along with the state agents and political forces. The connivance between paramilitarism and the state is considered by many as the main threat to peace in Colombia.
Even if the government continues to refuse calling paramilitary groups by their name, the fact that it commits to a serious fight against paramilitarism is a necessary step, not just for the success of the peace agreements, but more importantly, because of the urgent need for Colombian society and the millions of people living in rural areas of the country.
The issues of a bilateral ceasefire, laying down of arms and safety guarantees are all part of the third point of the negotiation agenda. Having already reached an agreement on that, the final point under discussion is the legal binding and implementation of the overall peace accords. Natalia Margarita, Telesur, Bogotá, Colombia.